family mode.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday evening US vBrownbag. This evening, we're going to be talking using Ansible to provision a private PKI with Anthony Chow, who is at A Clouder and Beer. A couple of housekeeping notes. Get in on the conversation. We are on Twitter at vBrownbag. If you use the hashtag vBrownbag, I will be able to respond and field your questions in Twitter. Again, our expert this evening is Anthony Chow. My name is Chris Williams, and away we go. Mr. Chow, let me turn over the rights to you.
And how do I share my screen?
There you go. All right, you are now the presenter, and you'll see a little pop-up that says, I see your screen. I see your desktop, and there it is. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to vBrownbag, and thanks for having me tonight to share about my experience on using Ansible to provision a private PKI. I'm a software developer. Today we are looking at two things at one time. It is really simple to do what I just said, to use Ansible to provision a private PKI. It will only take 2 commands and change the configuration file, and it will be done in 5 minutes. And this is the beauty of automation and open source. What I have found is that Ansible is really easy to learn. Today, let's go through my journey on how I use Ansible to provision a PKI. But before I start, I have one comment about questions. I do welcome questions, but since I'm new to Ansible, I might not be able to answer the question immediately. But I will guarantee you, I will go and find out the answer, and this is how I can learn more, and this is also a great opportunity. Okay, recently at my work, which is my day job, we are developing some security features that requires a private PKI for testing our code. One morning in a staff meeting, I big mouth saying, oh, it would be nice if we can automate the provisioning of PKI environment so that both test and development can have the same set of XBAT 509 certificate to test. So actually, I was just trying to hint my boss to do something about DevOps. On the same day in the evening, I saw my boss in the hallway, and he asked me, when will you get it done? Well, I asked, what done? He said, oh, automate the PKI environment. Well, I did not expect him to really buy into this idea. Now I had the problem is that I have to get it up and running in real short time.
Now you're on the hook.
Automation. People will heard about Puppet, Chef, and Ansible. Well, for me, when I was given the job to automate this process, I immediately thought of Ansible because I was trying to do some work on the OpenStack Ansible project. Before doing some contribution, I need to set up a test environment. So on that front, I find that I have not have enough horsepower for spinning up an OpenStack Ansible all in one setup on my home lab. But anyway, this is why I have chosen Ansible. Because for me, Chef, Puppet, or Ansible are all good tools, and each have their own point. So it really depends on what we want to do and how comfortable we are to use this tool. I choose Ansible because I was working on this and I want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and that is to sharpen my Ansible skill. Okay, there are some weddings I attend like to have a slideshow of the bride and bridegroom, showing from when they were born and how they met and what they did together before the wedding day. And now, so today, before we marry Ansible and private PKI, let's take a closer look at these 2 items. Well, let's see, let me go to the next slide. Ansible was an open source. Before that, IT technology is moving in a very fast pace, and we need to keep up and stay relevant. Well, we need to learn new things constantly. Maybe because of my background of being a software developer, where I always look at the data structure before looking at the actual code. I always start with looking at the terminology and the architectural diagram when I want to learn something new. And this is also true when I try to learn Ansible. Well, PKI, I have known that for a few years back, so I do not have to go through this particular exercise. Well, Ansible was an open source project started in 2012 by Michael DeHaan. I hope I get the last name right. And in 2013, the company Ansible Inc. was formed to put together a commercial product that can be sold to make profit. And then just last year in October, Red Hat bought Ansible. I believe this is a big push for this product, as Red Hat is going to integrate more Ansible into their product. Currently, the release of Ansible is in 2.1, and 2.2 is coming with more features. Oh, speaking of that, I'm going to show you one of the announcements. Actually, this announcement just come out today, Ansible 2.1 with network. I thought this is 2.2. But anyway, with the new release of Ansible, they will have more features. As you can see, container is one of the key issues, called features that Ansible is going to integrate with, and also with networking equipment, both for Cisco and VMware. So I think this will be a very interesting release, and hopefully this tool will help us to get the software-defined data center into the better shape. Anyways, let's get back to Ansible and get back to my slide. So Ansible, I think there are a few things we need to know about Ansible. It's an agentless, it's pro-based, and there's also one important concept. It's called idempotent. This is such a word that I may not be able to pronounce it correctly, but this is an important concept for configuration management tool. And this means that no matter how many times we run the same command, as long as the specific state of the target machine is what we want, nothing will get changed. Unlike if we run some shell script, you will see a lot of errors if things already been done. But for Ansible, we can run the command. You can hit the up arrow button and return and start that same process over and over again. And this will just let you know that this has been done and already taken care of. For Ansible, it's Python-based and use SSH to connect to the remote system. I forgot offhand during presentation, I got a little bit nervous. I forgot how they connect to Windows machines, because I don't think there is native SSH support in Windows machine, but they do have a mechanism so that we can use Ansible to manage Windows machines. And also one thing we have to know is that it uses YAML. I cannot say specifically that YAML is to specify the configuration, but actually just more than configurations, something called the actions. Before we deeper into Ansible, I think there are 4 terminologies that we must know when we get into it, because these are the terms that we see in a lot of the documents. So if we can identify and know what they are, that it will help us to understand the documentation or whatever blog post that we. The first terminology we need to know is inventory. Inventory is nothing more than just the target or the host. Well, we call the host, we might be thinking about server, but if we can look later, the target could be lots of things. As we show on the latest release of Red Hat Ansible, is that some of the target can be physical networking equipment, or it can be SDN, VMware's NSX or Cisco's ACI. Those can be the targets too. The next thing we want to know is modules. Modules are the things that we want to apply to the target, and tasks are the input parameters for the modules. This is a very important concept because this is kind of the smallest building block for Ansible. So we need to know what module is. And with modules, there is something called play. Plays is just a collection of modules put together so that you'll be able to configure the target machines. And playbooks is just a file with plays that contains different modules with tasks. Well, I hope I'm not going too fast, but then these are important key terminologies that we know. And hopefully during this hour, you have a better understanding of what they are. Well, as I said, we're looking at if we at a wedding, we look at the slideshow of the bride or bridegroom. We have already a few slides. But what can Ansible do? Well, you see if at this slide, I point to a website, and let's go to that website and take a quick look. I have this over here. I would have to say this website is very rich and very well done. If you scroll down more, you will see tons of information. Ansible Tower is the commercial product. Ansible itself is open source, and then Red Hat Ansible has a product called Ansible Tower. And then there's different resources, success story, try to convince you to use Ansible. Just some of the company that uses Ansible. And this is all the training. I think this is more interesting for us. This is webinar and training. And this is more resource. And then this one has a good summary of what this website is. But then if you go up here, this is also very nice because you will see you can see how Ansible work. You will see use cases. Before, when we look at Puppet, Chef, and Ansible, we might be thinking, oh, those are configuration management tools. But if you look deeper into this website, it is not just configuration management, because I think all these tools, they are moving toward provisioning, more toward apps deployment. Or most of all, if you're into DevOps, the continuous integration or continuous delivery. Well, DI and CI and CD are two different things, but they're related, but the same similar concept. And also security and compliance, and also for orchestration. If you look at the website, you will see people using Ansible to provision Raspberry Pi for Docker clusters, which is interesting because
really?
There's a new concept because you can configure the Docker Swarm into 4 or 5 different Raspberry Pi, and that is already a true concept. We can use Ansible to provision the whole thing. I have yet to try it. I already have one Raspberry Pi, and then I'm getting the essential the accessories from my friend. I borrow from him so I can play around with that. Well, back to Ansible. I get distracted easily. But anyway, for integrations, Ansible integrates with different things. And I think for vBrownbag, which I think still is a VMware-centric podcast, Ansible is able to integrate with realize automation. I'm not sure if you can integrate with VCAC, but it could be the same thing, but I'm not so sure. But for sure, it has integration with VMware. And you can see from here, let's go take a quick look for integration that for infrastructure. This website has very rich information that we can all go through. And then you can use Ansible to provision an OpenStack cloud. You can use Ansible to provision stuff in AWS. I think Azure can be done also, but may not be that sophisticated as the other cloud infrastructure. And this is some. And for the product, you can see Ansible Tower. These are all the commercial products you can bought. And I think this whole website is trying to get you to buy their products. And I think this is also good for us. This is a resource. And again, this is the most important for me, is the community. Thanks to the vBrownbag community, I was able to learn new stuff, as not just for the information. vBrownbag, the whole community with all the different people, is able to help me, to move me, to motivate me to learn more stuff. So we can all just live up because Ansible is an open source project, is hosted in GitHub. If you want to, you can also pull the whole thing of Ansible source onto your machine and then compile and run. Ansible Galaxy is a very interesting thing because this hosts a lot of Ansible, what's the right word? It's not script, but it's also called playbooks. And so it hosts different playbooks that you can download for yourself to suit your needs, so you don't have to write your own thing. And later on, we're going to talk about Ansible Galaxy more. And this is just an overview of what Ansible is. One of the things that I found is that this documentation from Ansible is also very good. This logically defines the whole product. If you look at it, when I look back, going through my learning journey from about Ansible, that these things are very interesting or very helpful to me. First of all, it has the introduction. This is Scale You Started. It talks about the playbook, which we'll get into later. But this is also the modules that I'm talking about. And I think very interestingly, this module index is very nice. It outlines all the different modules by group or by types. So if I have a need, so I can go in and say, oh, would there be something if let's say my background is software development or networking equipment. If I want to provision some networking equipment in my company, so I can go directly to network and take a look, to see if there's something that is useful for me. Oh, they even categorized by the product. So these are very helpful. So I think that when we get into Ansible, this is a very nice resource. And then later on, you will get back is, again, YAML, if you're new, but it's very easy to learn. And so the introduction part is also very rich. It's not just a simple introduction, but it really outlines the whole product. And that is called something called the ad hoc command. And I think at this time, since this is a vBrownbag, I cannot just keep on talking and talking. I need to do some demo. So I have a box that I SSH into. Let's say we're going to do some. Let's see VDB. This is one of a directory. I spin up 3 machines, but actually this is good for. I did not deliberately want to make this mistake, but let's say incidentally, you can also use put Ansible as a provider in the vagrant file. This is very nice. Vagrant status. I have 3 machines, but only 2 of them are vagrant. So if I can type it right, 3 machines and 2 of them is up and running. The other one is in a guru meditation status. This is something I find today. But my machine is a little bit slow. I only have 4 gigs of RAM. So you can see I have 3 machines, but only 2 are running. See, for Ansible, I did not go through the installation process because different people using different machine, and the installation process is really, really simple. So once we have, for me, I have a Ubuntu 14.04 here as my demo machine. So what I have is I download Ansible. So after with Ansible, we can see which Ansible. I have this, and then see what version I'm running. I'm running an Odin 194. So we can go to C and Ansible. This is a important or essential directory for running Ansible, because what it has is the Ansible configuration file. Today I'm not going to touch on how to tune the Ansible configuration file, because this is depending on your individual needs. But there are 2 things that we look at is that there's one more file called a host, and there's also a directory called the rows. And we will go into the rows later on. But let's take a look at the hosts. Yeah, I'm still old school. I'm still using VI because things like this situation like this, VI is a safe bet for me. If I get used to this state-of-the-art editor, then I might get into trouble because SSH I cannot use those. Okay, see, I get distracted again when I talk about VI. So this is the sample file. What is called inside is called the inventory. This is all commented out. But to run things, I have put in 3 things. I have my application server, so I group them in 2. This is one application server. This is another one. I group them. I give them a name called application. And then there's also the database. And then I give it the IP address. The beauty of Ansible is that with this, I can group these 2 together, called the multi. And these are some of the variables that we can pass to Ansible when we run. So, see, let's go back. Let's see. This is ad hoc. So, okay, let's say if I get into an environment and see if I want to check if all my hosts are running, I can do this. This is called ad hoc commands. This is what we're looking at. So if you remember, we have the group called multi, and then -m ping. Then we'll have to see if all my machines are up and running. Immediately, I can see one of my servers is not up, and you can see, as I already know before, that machine is in a group room meditation state, so we should not be able to talk to it, which makes sense. Then I know we only have 2 machines. See, if that is hindering, let's say I have to do something important about, so let's say the machine is not up, so let's try the different group. I think I have this group, and then I can ping these 2. Then we know they are up and running. There is also Ansible. For now, let's skip the other one. Let's just use the group application. We can run the command and see how much time those machines are up. Again, my machine is a little bit slow. You can tell I did a vagrant up. Actually, no, I think this is not the uptime, but this is how much time it's interesting. I thought I provisioned the machine much longer, but anyway, it doesn't matter. This is something we just want to see, and we also can run other commands like this. And this is called the ad hoc commands. This is nothing to do with playing or the playbooks, nothing to do with YAMLs. So this is something. So let's get back to the ad hoc command. It's a configuration file. It's a Windows support, Linux support. It's a I think the reason I said this website is very good is that it has an outline about Ansible. It has specifically said BSD support because inside they mention about there's something special about DSP machines, and then something you have to watch out if you run those because it's not common. But still they do point out the things. So this is very nice if we can go into here. And then there is something called the Ansible Galaxy. This is, let's go into it. This is, see, as we can see, you can refer to a website for sharing and downloading Ansible roles. Then, but I have not mentioned about roles before. Roles actually is something, what is the good way I say, let's hop into a different machine and see. It's something, what is that new robot in the new Star Wars movie? Is this something called a BB something?
BB-8.
BB-8, so no wonder it's not so familiar, but when I say VBB, it's actually for vBrownbag, I'm not sure that is anyway, so this is something, let's go into something called a Playbook. Let's take a look at, right here I have three files. One is for demo, the other 2 is just it's for the show of the Playbook. Let's take a look at the Apache. This is called what we call a playbook. We're putting in, let's go do some dissection. See, I have heard this syntax, the 3 dash is no longer necessary, but I just put that in a way, and then it specified what are the hosts that I want to operate on. Let's say this is a different machine, but I want to do it on the local host. That's why I type in localhost. Become, that means do you want to become a different user, because sometimes if you log into a Linux machine, we have to do the sudo, and this is a good security practice. And these are the tasks. Task after that is what we call the modules. We have a name. Dash name is just a it does nothing. It is to identify what these tasks or these modules and tasks are doing. So this is called in store, called the yum, and with item that means. See, if you see this item, so with item, that means it will make sure these 2 things with the state of present. So we need to make sure Apache is present. If it does not, it will do the yum install for you. This is one thing different than Puppet is that when we specify these, even those are called desirable state or offhand I forgot the name of it, but it's the PowerShell used the desirable state, but there is a different name for it. But anyway, it's for Puppet, you don't have to specify yum. You just have to say this thing is present, and you will figure out which machine is that. For Ansible, it chooses a different route. You have to specify your target machine, and this is another thing. Then you copy the configuration file. This is the instruction. So this is one thing I want to show is that what is that thing is Ansible Set Up. What is the right command? This is something good about Google. This is something called the Ansible Set Up. It's going to gather up the facts of the target machine, and those are the things. Say, does it have a test setup? Oh, I have to specify Ansible local host -m setup. It may take some time because it's gathering the facts, all the facts about this machine. If you can take a look, these are the things. But why is it so important that we gather the facts? But see, these are called the Ansible facts. Different things. If you can tell, these have their IP address. The thing is called about the host, about what kind of operating system is running into. This is when we specify the playbook. We can say there's a keyword called when, W-H-E-N, when whatever is equal to something, you do this. So we can always say when the target machine is equal to Ubuntu, then you do the apt-get. If the target machine is, if the ID is something else, it's CentOS, then we do the yum install. So this is how we control. It's different from Puppet that we only say we only want Apache to be present, and that's it. And so let's move on to some to say actually I want to do something about the Linux hardening on this local machine. Let's take a look into this playbook. Again, the host is local host. It becomes yes because some of the things we do has to be root. This is not a good way of, but this is only for demo purpose because we do not want to specify the password on this playbooks. There's some way that we can hide it. It's something called the vault, Ansible vault, that will be able to encrypt the password for you. But today, because we only have 1 hour, we cannot go into that. But if you look into that feature that you don't have to specify, like me here, that will specify the password. But this is some of the things that we want to do. Of course, first of all, we want to change the root password to a different password. We want to add the user deploy. We want to work on it, and then we want to update this package, and we want to update something. This is to install the required package. See, but it didn't set which package, but with item is that a reference to Ubuntu required package that we have this in the variable section. So the required package is that I want this unattended upgrades, I want Git, and for the optional package, I want MOS and VIM. As you can see, which Git currently I don't have, which VIM, which is something I don't have, but I do have the other one. Then I do have this in my system. So it doesn't matter, even I specified, that means my desire is that I want it to be there. If it is there, it's okay. If not, install it for me. So let's get back, and this is something, install the package, and then this is something we will play with the SSH port. But this is not this is a good one. This is for the SSHD, we want to make sure if there's a password authentication is set to a no, and that the permit root logon is set to a no. Let's take a look at SSHD. Make sure it's the server, not the client. Config. So password authent. Okay, currently we have this commented out. So we know. And then there is another is the permit login. This is currently the parameters that is without password. So after when we run, cdb demo. When we run it against the local host, those things will be changed, and the git, the VIM should be also. Let's do it now. So Ansible. This is not the ad hoc command, so the syntax is a little bit different. It's the Ansible Playbook, and then Linux hardening YAML. Because I need to become SU, so I need to put in this parameter. Okay, become pass. If I don't, then my run will fail. So it is starting to do things. This is something very nice. It tells me, oh, something is wrong. Fail is 1, if you can see. So what happened? I forgot to do this command because I don't have this directory because I have not created that. So I need to do the SSH gen. Offhand, I forgot the command again. Let's see if I can Google SSH gen. I think it's gen key -t. I think is the command. Yes. Let's see which one you've been to. SSH gen -trsa. SSH gen key.
You have 2 SSH gens in there.
Oh, thank you. Because Ansible relies on SSH, so this is very important.
Nope.
Keygen. I wish I have a bigger monitor. Keygen. See, I have my password is too short. In case you wonder, I type in ABCDE. so this is created for me. So now when we get back to the demo, we'll run it again. Ansible Playbook. Is it the right? Yes, it should be Playbook. Ask. So this would be better. It's running. I think for me, I did once last night. I think the apt package cache runs a little bit longer time. So while we are waiting, we can move on because so we still have 2 more topics to cover. I believe everyone sees this once or many times in their life. Most users will just click, I understand the risk, although they might not, and move on because they just want to get to that web page. But for us, we will probably investigate what's going on and then try to figure out if this is a secure site that we're going to go in. Actually, we deal with PKI every day and in a lot of places that we don't even know. For me, when you ask me what a PKI infrastructure is, this is what I define as a digital certificate-based trust system between 2 parties. And I have to stress, it's between the 2 parties. And cryptography is being used to hide the content of the digital certificate from the 3rd party. So 3rd party does not know, and the picture says it all. Alice wants to talk to Bob. and they both trust a CA. CA means certificate authority. It's something they will trust because they use that to help them to do some secure communication. See, this is when we talk about cryptography. Let's see here. Let's see if the command is done. It's still installing the package, so we can still go on. This is. We get back to Alice and trust for the cryptology. This is something what I'll try to explain what a digital certificate is. I think most people will know what a digital certificate is. So there are four goals for cryptographic. Those are confidentiality, authentication, integrity of data, and non-repudiation. See, for confidentiality, PKI allows Alice and Bob to talk privately. Third party would not know what they are talking about because the messages are encrypted before transmission and decrypted when received. And for authentication, PKI provides a way for Alice and Bob to identify themselves. This is just like showing your ID card at the TSA when you are traveling. There has to be an ID picture. So this digital certificate is able to provide your identity to the other person. So when Bob wants to talk to Alice, he wants to know if it was really Alice that's trying to talk to him and not someone else. This is important because if it is Alice, actually it's the other way. If Bob wants to talk to Alice, so Alice would like to know if the person is really Bob and not someone else. So this is for authentication. For data integrity is that when they send message between the two parties, the PKI can provide a way to ensure data integrity because the message originally could be, can you buy me dinner? You don't want it to become, I can buy you dinner. So this is a big difference. And for non-repudiation, this is mostly in court of law. If I use PKI to send you a message saying, I owe you $100, later on I cannot deny saying that I did not send you the message because my message is being signed by me. So this is one thing that the PKI can provide. But have you ever wondered why we call this certificate-based system a public key infrastructure? What is that public key? Actually, if you can see, there are three types of cryptography. The first one is called the secret key. It is also called symmetric key cryptography because the message is encrypted and decrypted with the same key. We use one key to do the encryption and we use the same key to do the decryption. Both parties will have to know the same key, same password. The advantage is speed for encryption and decryption. It is vulnerable for brute force attack if someone knows you're able to crack the key. So key creation and distribution to the different party is a big job. The longer the key is, of course, the more secure. But some of the commonly used symmetric encryption algorithm are called ASE, DES, or triple DES. There is no double DES because research has found that doing it twice does not increase the efficiency of the key size. And then sometimes you'll see on a movie we use a 102.4-bit or 204-bit encryption. This is being used by CSI or I think Blind Spot use that a lot too. The next thing is the public key. For public key, it is also called asymmetric key encryption because the two keys are involved, and this is very important that we understand that the two keys are involved. And the two keys, one is called a private key, and the other is called a public key. When I create a key, I have my public key. But then with the algorithm, I will generate a public key, which I will give it to you. This is something you will keep, and I will keep the private key. You would not know my private key, but you have to know my public key. So when I send you a message, I encrypt it with my private key, and you will use my public key to decrypt it. So when you reply, you use your public key to encrypt the message and send it back to me, and I will use my private key to decrypt it. So anytime you encrypt something with the private key, you will decrypt it on the public key. If you encrypt with public key, you decrypt with the other key, which is the public key. See, when this is this may be good, but then it takes time to do computation. And this is where TLS, when you do the certificate, this is how because when you talk to us, when I try to talk to you, we will use this public key to create the public key and then a private key to come up with a symmetric key. So later on, with the symmetric key, when we talk, we use the symmetric key that we negotiate or we come up with. So it's dynamic. It's not something we store beforehand. So it's more dynamic. When I talk to you, this time we'll come up with a symmetric key, and the next time we talk tomorrow, we'll use a different key because this is dynamically generated. And then for the third type is something called a hash. Hash is only a one-way encryption. With plain text encrypt, it's called a ciphertext. I think this term is being used a lot. When the text is went through a hashing function, it becomes a ciphertext. But we no way will be able to convert back to its original form. But so what is the use of it? One good thing is that we can ensure the integrity of the message, because we can, let's say if for the password we do the hash, we use the same hash, we will come up with the same text, we will come up with the same ciphertext. So this is how we know that this is not being tampered with. So let's see if we have, let's get back to Ansible. This is done. So if you can see 16 tasks is done, there's no failure. So right now I should have git install my system. So if I can type, I have vim. And let's say we go back to etc ssh sshd config. Let's look for password fan. This one is commented out, but then you can see Ansible created this for me. Even though it's commented out, but what we want is that I want the target machine to have password offend to be no. So even though that was commented, it's okay. It's Ansible. It's created this for me, and then permit. Before it was something else I forgot, but now it's set to a no. So we know this is how we can. I do the demo in one machine, and especially this demo touches on SSH. I don't want it to different. But if you want to, let's say if you want to spin up 100 servers and you want to harden them, you can tailor this and then apply to this Ansible. When the host is not local, you can just apply to the group on the inventory, and then apply the same command to the target machine, and that's where you can do it. Do the job for you in a easier way. So now we have finished talking about Ansible, and we have talked about PKI. So the slideshow is done. Let's get back to the marriage. So when my boss told me that I have to get this done, the first place I come to the screen is that I come to this page. So like people, if you PKI, well, if you PKI chef and PKI, you will see a lot of blog posts talking about it too. But for me, I use Ansible, so I type this Ansible PKI. So for this, actually, this is something I want to mention if you are into Ansible. This is a very good site, although I did not, because I did not use this for my work, but then this is a good site. Where is this is GitHub, but they do have a website that talks about I think this is called DBOps. This is more toward Deep Debian. If you go to this place, you will see different things you can use Ansible to configure your whole infrastructure. But anyway, so get back to the original thing. Then I think there is one thing. What's that? Looking for that. there is one thing. The interesting about Google search is that the search doesn't come back the same all the time. It depends. There is. I think one thing I was talking to a seasoned conference speaker. What he told me is that this is being a great speaker is not something what you present. Being a great teacher is when something goes wrong, how you recover is the most important thing. And I'm trying to recover from there's I find it good thing I don't have to do much recovery. What I find this thing is very useful for me actually. I use this to download all these necessary files. But before that, I want to show you something about Ansible Galaxy. Let's say if I have let's say if I want, because there is a command called Ansible Galaxy init. Let's say test. This is something like this. This will create a standard directory for me with all the rows. See, this is done. And you can see, you can have these standard directories, the defaults, the file, the handler. This is all the rows. And then something will, let's go back. To do this, I will just simply install from Ansible Galaxy, and it will install this on my local system. Let's say I have this. So this will install this for me, the NetWest simple PKI. Let's try to do this now. This is one command was not installed successfully. You do not have permission. I see. So I need to. Let's see. Let's go this one. Now this time it's installed successfully because I'm root. Okay. So where does it go? After that, it's not in my local directory. I do this command in this, but it's not nowhere been found. It is being installed in etc Ansible rows. This is where. So the problem I have is my struggle is that I see this. I was so happy when I find this web page. I say, oh, this is great. This is exactly what I need. And Ansible. So after I download, I said, okay, where are my files? So I have to take a look and find it myself. And then you can see this is something I download. And then, because actually I download this on this machine, I make some modification. Instead, I call CFS PKI. So let's go into and take a quick look at what it has. See, if you remember when we do the Ansible Galaxy init, we have some standard directories. And for sure, this one has the similar thing. And I forgot to show you the README template before that, but we don't have much time left, so we'll skip that. But if you do the Ansible Galaxy init, you will see the README template. This one has some content. So let's take a look. Quickly take a look. It tells you about the whole project, where to look and find some of the things that you need to specify. And this is where I said I need to make some modification. See, before I had just one command, and this is the modification, and the next command is a private PKI is going to generate for me. So one thing I'm saying is let's take a look, because this is default FA. You have to see a main.yaml. handlers also have this meta task. This has more because this has the other one. And then something, since we are here, we want to something about the roles is that we are task main. This is something called the include. See this YAML file, Ansible is going to execute the main.yaml. And then within that, if we do the include, Ansible is also going to include this and execute, just like calling a function in the programming area. So we'll also execute this YAML, this one, and this one. And this is some features that we can reuse some of the rows so that we don't have to write the whole thing as one big package. We can reuse some of the, just like modular programming. And then we have the templates. Templates, something, no, this is, let's see. See, there is something called a J2. This is called this kind of format is what Ansible used to do the templates. Let's take a look at one of the templates. Let's see server config. See, this is the template that Ansible is going to use. See, something I have to go in to specify because I have to specify all this. I forgot to show you the certificate. And something later on the standard directory, we have the vars. We also have the main YAML. And so in this directory, I have this file called gen. With this, I will be able to create my private PKI. Oh, also forgot to specify specifics default main. I think this is where I specified the location of my target, where I want to create the root CFS PKI, the whole PKI infrastructure in this directory. And before that, let's get out and take a look at the certificate. CD you can see this is a Wikipedia PAM. PAM is a certificate. There is a .pam directory. There is a .der. PAM is a ASCII base. DER is binary base. And CRT is also similar to PAM, but offhand I forgot. One is used by Microsoft, the other is used by the Linux community. And the Linux community can understand both, but Microsoft can only either understand the CRT format or the PAM. Not the format. The format is the same, but the extension. Somehow Microsoft does things always a little bit different. So when we look at Wikipedia, this is what we see. But, well, this is not human readable. Good thing is that we can, there's OpenSSL. OpenSSL in text. Just we can decrypt the certificate. Don't worry, just that it scrolls through. It is, again, see, this is something, when we look at a certificate, this is something, there's a few things I want to point out. Is the version. Version is 3, but the value is 2 because it's 0 base. 0 means version 1, 1 means 2, 2 means 3. Anyway, and then, so there are a few things we want to take a look at the certificate. When we decrypt a certificate, is that it's the issuer. Who issued this certificate? It is the global sign. This is where and then they have more different information. This is the issuer. And then validity. This certificate is valid from December 10, 2015 to December 10th, and they even have the specific, a specific time of validity being, so this not before, not after. So within this time period, this certificate itself is valid. And the subject means this is what I am vouching for. See, the Wikipedia organization, see what it said is global sign, vouch for this. And then later on you see, oh, I didn't do the out. So this is something, alternative name is something that being used by DNS. So what this certificate is also valid for these domains. And then there are other things, another for certificate, I think something we need to also look at is to see if this particular certificate is valid or not. So for this inside the certificate, also specify the CRL called what is the CRL? Certificate revocation list. So for this one, the revocation list is being stored in this location. So if you're a web browser, you will be able to go to this place and see if this particular certificate is still valid, being revoked, even though the valid period is true. The issuer is also it's also true, but then if it is being revocated, that means this certificate is no good. Maybe the password get compromised. And there's something called OCSP. This is a more dynamic. If you do an ED certificate, the extended value, I think this is some of the marketing term, you will for sure use OCSP to validate to see if the certificate is good. Okay, so this is human readable form. And you may want to say, why is this section here? Because this is already decoded the whole thing. Actually, a certificate has two things. The first part of the certificate hosts all the necessary information. But this is only information. I can construct a certificate with just this information and send it to you. Just like if I can create a toy driver's license and present it to TSA, they would not take it because they know it's not a valid driver's license. Then for a certificate, how do we know it is a valid certificate? You will know is because with all this information, the CA, the certificate authority, will use its private key to encrypt the whole thing into something like this. So when I'm the receiver or when I'm the browser, I will use the signer because I always have to know who signs this certificate. I have the signer's public key to make sure that all this information there have the same result. So I know, because so we will be able to fulfill the data integrity, confidentiality, and also authentication. We also fulfill these two goals with this certificate. So so that's why we also have to always load if you go to the browser, there's also a certificate section. It's there where we load the certificate with the signer, the certificate authority's public key information. So again, if you look at the public key as asymmetric encryption, if they encrypt the thing with their private key, we would have to use their public key that we have to decrypt it. So that's why we call this a public key infrastructure. Oh, I think I only have 2 more minutes, so I have to quickly get to this machine. No, I was already in this machine. Let's say let's go back to that. Let's see. No, I want to go to etc Ansible. Let's see the rows. Let's see VI. I want to make sure. I don't have this. So what I do is, since this time I already as root, so I don't need to use the become, and then I can use Ansible Galaxy Gen, this one. Install. It's been a while, I probably forgot. Not install, no, it's not install. Let's get back to see. No, the install is to get it done, and then no, that should be it. I hope the marriage will be successful, but then it seems like there's some complication. Let's see, let's double check then. Localhost, the role is Service PKI. This is how we run the whole thing. Ansible. No, I know what's wrong. It's not Ansible Galaxy. Ansible Galaxy is to get the file. Now I have the whole thing. I need to do the Ansible Playbook. And Ansible Playbook. This is how we run. So this is creating all the certificates. This thing is also creating some revoked certificates we can test. So this is what you can see. This is one thing I'm trying to look for this failure. If it is red or not equal to 0, that means something is good. So good. Now you may kiss the bride. So we go to root and Service PKI. Before we don't have this directory. Now we have all this. CA. We have all this. You have see the .cert. Assigning CA, certs, so this, CRL is all the revoked certificates. And also, what's in ETC? I don't even know what's in ETC. Oh, this is the configuration file that we use to do the configurations. That's also there. And now I have created myself a private PKI with Ansible. And then see that the development department will use this directory and all this content, the certificates to test, and then later on when the product went to go through product test will also use the same setup and do the same testing. And when they see a problem, when they get back to us, we can know how to debug, or else it will take us a lot of time just to figure out, oh, your PKI environment is not the same as me, and that already takes some time. But that's why I like DevOps so much, is that we have be able to use animation or automation to create some standard environment so that the productivity will increase. And that's all I have. Is there any question from the audience today?
There has not been a question from the audience, but dude, that was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for the lessons and the demo. That was excellent.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity that I can present at vBrownbag. It is an honor to be able to present at vBrownbag.
Not at all. It's an honor to have you. Thank you, Mr. Chow. Cool.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording now.